vodka, drugs, gambling, and an endless supply of empty bottles is the depressing existence of prisoners sentenced to KLETKA. Exiled to serve their punishment in an endless megastructure, you ride an elevator down to an abyss where every pit stop can be your last. But hold up, I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself, so let's rewind a bit. KLETKA is a Russian grimdark 4-player co-op horror looter similar to Lethal Company and Content Warning that takes place in the Samosbor Universe in the Soviet Union during an unknown time period. You are a prisoner sentenced to death, even if your crimes are a bit funny, and your main task is to gather resources and fulfill a goal while managing said resources and postponing your inevitable death. But unlike those other games where you get your soft, pasty hands on a shop, a jetpack, or a huge fan base and a camera, you're stripped of all your rights and given no tools after being sentenced by a judge, jury, and executioner and thrown into KLETKA, the Russian translation for cell, a very fitting name for the vehicle leading you into your death. KLETKA is an omnivorous creature that acts like a decrepit, run-down elevator running on gasoline and flesh. Prisoners are obligated to feed and repair it to stave off its hunger and keep the elevator running deeper and deeper. If prisoners fail to have a stockpile of fuel on standby to feed KLETKA, well, you get the idea. To gather fuel and resources to upkeep KLETKA, prisoners must stop at floors in the Giga or Gigastructure, to collect useful scrap. The Gigastructure in the Samosbor Universe is a brutalist Soviet apartment building that stretches in every direction for seemingly infinity. The Gigastructure's layout can sometimes vary wildly depending on the region, caused by a factor I'll speak about in a moment, but the size, verticality, complexity, and such vary wildly throughout the runs of the megastructure, with some rooms seemingly escaping reality and crossing over to liminal space territory being impossibly large, housing strange alien objects. Some floors and regions even have anomalous and non-anomalous weather conditions, like stormy weather, floods, lightning storms, and even anti-gravity. Going through the infinite building endlessly until death isn't the only means to an end in your sentence. Along with the other dangers like mines, tripwires, and other traps, the Gigastructure houses all kinds of dangerous entities, some of which I probably haven't even encountered yet. And for the ultimate danger in the Gigastructure you face, Samosbor. Samosbor is an anomaly affecting the entire universe. During random intervals, parts of the structure will deform and rearrange completely, filling the floor with a purple mist and smell of putrid flesh. Anybody caught in a Samosbor event have a 0 chance of survival and are assumed dead immediately. The anomaly's arrival is only prefaced by a blaring alarm and an earthquake tremor. In-game, the floor gives you a 30-second interval to sprint back to KLETKA before Samosbor occurs, the purple mist chipping at your health until you close KLETKA's doors and escape the floor, or die. The only way to survive a Samosbor event without escaping the floor entirely is to lock yourself in an airtight room behind a hermetic door, which randomly replaces normal doorways in the structure. And aside from your survival in the ventures of the Gigastructure, your best friend and ally is, like I said before, although your ultimate death in the case of mismanaged resources or just plain misfortune, if you treat KLETKA right, it'll treat you right. Acting as the main resource drain and goal for your sentence, KLETKA must be kept well managed to progress further through floors. KLETKA comes with 3 major components. First is an exposed panel full of fleshy machinery that acts as KLETKA's main HP, which you must repair as wear and tear chips at its condition when traversing through floors. Repairing it requires wrench tools, but if none are available, you can risk taking damage using your bare hands in an emergency situation. Second is the fuel tank. The fuel tank acts as a second resource drain, requiring fuel to keep the elevator running. If gasoline runs out, you can feed KLETKA flesh for a small resource boost. How you get your hands on some is up to you. Your sentence begins with a free wrench and gas canister to get you started on your traversal through the megastructure. The third and final component is the scanner. The scanner displays Samosbor probability, your floor level, and a resource count. When moving through the Gigastructure floors, the scanner displays your elevator elevation and counts down floors passed while displaying the distance between floors as you pass them. All 3 of KLETKA's components can be upgraded with cogs you find in the Gigastructure for more efficiency. And for some tips. Flipping the lever to stop KLETKA when it's far away from the next floor will cause more wear and tear on the elevator the further away you stop movement. You can store items by pressing E and looking up at KLETKA, but pulling them out is randomized and you might need to pull out your entire inventory of storage to get the item you want. You can hang most items in the wrench rack next to the panel for safekeeping, and leaving items on the floor will randomly cause KLETKA to eat them up and place them into storage. Keeping KLETKA up and running is mostly luck, but getting through the gigastructure efficiently is your best bet at increasing your odds at reaching the floor 100 mark. And that's basically the core gameplay loop for now. I'll avoid speaking on the specifics about gameplay any further so you can play through the gigastructure yourself, because I genuinely think the blind factor on KLETKA is a major selling point for me personally, especially with friends. But something that really caught my eye is the Samosbor Universe KLETKA is set in. The original Samosbor creepypasta the game is based off over on the Russian website Dvak is written in Russian, and so is the Samosbor wiki and other information boards. So naturally most of the lore translated to English is going to have some translation errors here and there, but I'll try to piece it together for you guys. Anyways, from what I've read and played through, the Samosbor universe and life in the gigastructure is very interesting to read up on, and the setting has a lot of room to theorize on. Like I explained before, KLETKA takes place in an alternate universe Soviet Union, where life outside the gigastructure is unknown. Out of our view as a prisoner during the events of KLETKA, and outside the empty floors we explore through, life is bustling on other regions of the structure. Existing infinitely in all directions and with no known exits or entrances, generations live and die in run-down, decrepit floors of the megastructure. Sickness, famine, and insanity is common among the unknown billions or trillions stuck in the gigastructure, just trying to survive. The majority of the population clusters reside in areas in the structure called residential blocks. Residential blocks usually occupy dozens of floors and are secured behind hermetically sealed doors at every exit and entrance to avoid massive loss of life to Samosbor and its anomalous effects and other outside threats. Inhabitants of residential blocks must work to make a living and survive, working for whatever legislation entity has festered in that specific block. Necessities like food are worked for and purchased by special coupons traded in at dispensaries, and water is transported through anomalous pipes immune to Samosbor sprawled through the megastructure. Privileged or especially hardworking residents of blocks get better food than the common protein concentrate and mystery chemical mix purchased and eaten by the masses, being given real food like pasta and poultry. Electricity throughout the gigastructure is a necessity and is made possible through fleshy bioelectrical wiring strewn across the gigastructure and powered by generator blocks. Generator blocks are 5-story massive generators using a special type of fuel made by a type of slime, which I'll talk about later. These massive generator blocks require permanent residency by staff and up to 10 rotating shifts to keep operations smooth. These are run by the Gigastructure Research Institute, an organization formed in the structure to study the effects of Samosbor, which have their own huge research facilities within the gigastructure. The bioelectrical wiring system also allows for informational transfer, working as a sort of makeshift internet, and anybody with technology capable of connecting to it can communicate with other people in the gigastructure. Occupying the last bit of manpower and societal upkeep in the megastructure is factory blocks. Factory blocks are usually 3-sector manufacturing centers for mining scarce resources from scrap left over from the Samosbor events to create useful products like boilers, pipes, welding equipment, fuel, and other such things. Small and large repairs of equipment and hermetic doors is a common trade and major part of keeping populations safe from Samosbor. Once every few 100,000 miles, a supermassive factory or gigafactory is formed by a single entity or group of people. Usually classified as such when exceeding 50 stories, gigafactories produce every kind of resource necessary to aid hundreds of resident blocks, usually having their own logistics systems in place to keep operations going nearly indefinitely. Even rarer, every million or so miles, rumors among the working class talk about colossal factories sprawling from 100 to 300 stories, also called factory cities, but their incredible rarity makes the claims dubious. Overseeing nearly all of these factors of the gigastructure is a political entity known as the party, controlling the food outsourced to the masses, the information shared through the bionet, Controlling the research institute and having a hand in legislation of a lot of residential blocks, the party acts as the highest authority of the gigastructure wherever society takes place. A big part of the party's power comes from a sect in their organization called Liquidators. Liquidators act as a sort of police force and street cleanup crew that are dispatched to relieve the megastructure of any adverse effects of Samosbor. Their main task is to clean up after Samosbor events. After Samosbor occurs on any given floor, a strange fleshy slime appears on various surfaces throughout floors affected. A liquidator's job is to collect and clear this toxic substance for fuel and to clear it from nearby residential blocks to make space for expansion. When not cleaning up after Samosbor or being dispatched to dangerous sections of the gigastructure, being one of the few entities in the society with firearms, the party utilizes liquidators to police criminal or mentally unstable residents. Usually given power to judge individually in the moment, executions are usually spectacles to be observed by others to make an example, or they're taken off to be sentenced to other unethical punishments, like in our case in KLETKA. And that's the basics of Samosbor and KLETKA. I'm probably not even scratching the surface here on the really awesome lore for the gaming community, but I noticed there's no real Western attention to this IP, and it's a real shame. The dynamic of the gigastructure is really intriguing, and I hope KLETKA blows up, and the writers give us some really good lore to see and read up on. Fingers crossed. So comment what you guys think of the game if you give it a try. Demo is in the pinned comment, and let me know if you want more Samosbor content or any other lesser known universe you know about, since there's a lot I left out about Samosbor in this video because of the Russian translation, and there's tons of opportunity for more videos. Anyways, I've been Myriad, your vodka intolerable yapper, and have a good day or night. Bye bye.